Korean Air, South Korea's national carrier, says it is taking emergency action to buffer the impact of soaring jet fuel prices and the economic fallout of the Iran war. The airline's vice chairman, Woo Ki-hong, told staff members in an internal memo seen by the BBC that energy prices have more than doubled what is set in the carrier's business plan, resulting in a growing monthly fuel cost burden. The organization will take internal cost reduction measures from April to manage its finances to ensure the airline's stability, a Korean Air spokesperson said on Tuesday. The average price of jet fuel rose to nearly $200, £151.45 a barrel on 20 March, more than double what it was in February, according to the latest International Air Transport Association figures. Crude oil is trading more than 50% higher than before the start of the war, sending jet fuel prices soaring. 4 Israeli soldiers killed in southern Lebanon. The Israel Defense Forces (IDF) says 4 soldiers were killed and 2 were injured on Monday in a new statement published to Telegram. According to the statement, Captain Noam Madmoni, 22, Staff Sergeant Ben Cohen, 21, and Staff Sergeant Maxime Entis, 22, died during combat in South Lebanon. 2 people have also been evacuated to hospital. 1 soldier was classed as severely injured, and a reservist was deemed moderately injured. The IDF adds that a 4th soldier was killed in the same incident, but his name has not yet been cleared for publication. A recap: what did Netanyahu say on Monday evening? With energy prices soaring, the question of when the Iran war will end is a pressing one. But speaking to the U.S. channel Newsmax, Benjamin Netanyahu declined to give a timeline for achieving Israel's war goals. After 1 month, he said the war was definitely beyond the halfway point, but later clarified he meant in terms of missions, not time. The Israeli Prime Minister said the war had killed thousands of members of Iran's Revolutionary Guards and that his country and the U.S. were close to finishing the arms industry, wiping out entire plants and the nuclear program itself. The Israeli leader again said that regime change was not the goal, but he voiced confidence that the Islamic Republic would collapse internally. Power restored in parts of Tehran early on Tuesday, according to Iranian media. Tasnim news agency said that power had mostly been restored after being disrupted due to falling shrapnel hitting a substation. It comes as AFP reports explosions were heard in Iran's capital city. White House response. We reported earlier that Donald Trump has told aides he is willing to end the military campaign against Iran, even if the Strait of Hormuz remains largely closed, according to the Wall Street Journal. We've now had a response from the White House, referring us to comments made by U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio to Al Jazeera. Rubio told the broadcaster that the Strait of Hormuz will reopen one way or another. He said that once U.S. has achieved its objectives and if Iran continues to block the strait, then they will have to face real consequences not just from the United States, but from regional countries and from the world. IDF says Iranian missiles have been launched towards Israel. The Israel Defense Forces (IDF) says it has identified missiles launched from Iran towards Israel and that air defense systems are currently operating to intercept the threat. An alert has been sent to members of the public who have been told to enter a protected space and remain there until no further notice. Aluminium prices nearly at a 4-year high. Aluminium prices have risen close to their highest in 4 years after airstrikes on 2 major Middle Eastern producers over the weekend. On Monday, the price of aluminium, a metal used in electronics, packaging, construction work, and vehicles, on the London Metal Exchange rose by more than 3% at $3,401, £2,572.35 a metric ton. The region's top producer, Emirates Global Aluminium, EGA, said it sustained significant damage at its Abu Dhabi site, while Aluminium Bahrain said it was assessing the extent of damage to its facility. The metal's prices crossed $4,000 a ton in March 2022 after Russia, a major aluminium producer, invaded Ukraine. Pentagon denies report that Hedgeseth's broker attempted a big investment before the war. A Pentagon spokesman has strongly denied a report in the Financial Times that a broker for U.S. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth had attempted to make a big investment in military-related companies in the weeks leading up to the Iran war. Neither Secretary Hegseth nor any of his representatives approached BlackRock about any such investment, said Sean Parnell, the Pentagon's chief spokesman. This is yet another baseless, dishonest smear designed to mislead the public, Parnell wrote on X, demanding an immediate retraction of the claims. The Financial Times report was published on Monday, citing anonymous sources. Hegseth has been a leading figure in the war effort and has frequently led press briefings advocating for the attack on Iran. Oil tanker fire under control. A fire aboard a giant oil tanker that Kuwait says was hit by an Iranian airstrike has been extinguished. The tanker Al Salmi was docked in Dubai fully loaded with 2 million barrels of oil from Kuwait and Saudi Arabia when it was hit by what local authorities described as a drone attack. There was some damage to the ship and initial fear of an oil spill, but all 24 crew members were reported safe and uninjured. Dubai authorities sent firefighters to the scene, and after a few hours they brought the blaze under control. The tanker was on its way to Qingdao, China, according to Reuters. Trump willing to end fighting even if the Strait of Hormuz still restricted, Wall Street Journal reports. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that Donald Trump has told aides he is willing to end the military campaign against Iran even if the Strait of Hormuz remains largely closed, according to administration officials. Citing administration officials, the paper reports that the U.S. president and his aides assessed that a mission to force open the key maritime passage would push the conflict beyond his timeline of 4 to 6 weeks. Instead, he is reportedly considering bringing the current fighting to an end, having severely damaged Iran's navy and missile stocks, and will continue to pressure Iran diplomatically to reopen the flow of trade. The BBC has contacted the White House. Oil prices edge higher. Oil prices continued to climb in early trade in Asia today. The price of U.S.-traded oil jumped by 3% to nearly $106, £80.52 a barrel. U.S. oil prices closed Monday's trading session above $100 a barrel for the first time since the war on Iran started on 28 February. It's also the highest price of U.S. oil since July 2022. Brent crude, the global benchmark for oil prices, rose to $115 after gaining by more than 2% on Tuesday. U.S. President Donald Trump has continued to threaten strikes on Iran's infrastructure if a deal is not reached soon. Israel reviewing incidents after UN soldiers killed in Lebanon. The Israel military says it is investigating 2 incidents in which UN soldiers were harmed. It comes as the UN said 3 peacekeepers working with the United Nations Interim Force in Lebanon, UNIFIL, were killed in the south of the country. The incidents are being thoroughly reviewed to clarify the circumstances and to determine whether they resulted from Hezbollah activity or from IDF activity. The IDF adds that these incidents occurred in an active combat area, so it should not be assumed that incidents in which UNIFIL soldiers were harmed were caused by the IDF. Kuwait says Iran has hit one of its giant crude oil tankers that is docked in a Dubai port. The Kuwait Petroleum Corporation described the incident as a brutal Iranian airstrike and reported there was some damage to the ship but no casualties. The tanker Al Salmi was fully loaded at the time of the strike, which caused a fire on board. Dubai authorities sent firefighters to the scene, and after a few hours they brought the blaze under control. The tanker was on its way to Qingdao, China, according to Reuters. Iranian plan to impose tolls on the Strait of Hormuz approved. A plenary committee in Iran has approved plans to impose tolls on the traffic in the Strait of Hormuz, according to the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps IRGC-affiliated Fars news agency. It reports that a member of the National Security Commission has confirmed the approval of the plan, which would also see U.S. and Israeli ships barred from moving through the strait. It adds that under the plans, other countries that have participated in sanctions against Iran would also be barred. The AFP news agency reported the new toll system was announced on Iranian state television, which said Iran would implement them in cooperation with Oman. About 20% of the world's crude usually passes through the vital shipping way, which lies between Iran and Oman. However, since the war began, crossings have plummeted by almost 95%, according to maritime intelligence firm Kepler. What do we know about the appearances of Iranian officials? It has never been more difficult to track down the activities of Iranian officials, but I have been trying to follow their appearances in state media and their online activities. Iran's supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, has not been seen in public or featured in Iranian media since succeeding his father on March 8. Israel had vowed before and after his succession that he would be a target. President Masoud Pezeshkian appeared on a report by state television on 26 March during a visit to a supermarket in Tehran. According to the report, he stressed the importance of proper distribution and fair prices for the people's needs in the context of the ongoing war. He appeared most recently in a photo of a government meeting published yesterday by Iranian outlets. Parliament Speaker Mohammad Baghir Ghalibaf appeared on state television on 17 March in what appeared to be a pre-recorded interview. His account on X remains active these days despite a government-imposed internet outage for ordinary Iranians. Ghalibaf's account has been posting content in both Persian and English recently, including a